Industry, trade, and investment is a complex area. It's also an emerging, it's always changing, and traditional methods and traditional tools that we have been using to resolve some of the issues may not work for us. So I do appreciate that technology is changing, that the world is becoming more competitive, that boundaries are closing down, so many more movements of people. That means, I saw one of the issues that you are raising is that Kenya, for example, is a member of the EAC. We are a member of COMESA. Now there is EAC, COMESA tripartite agreement. Then we have the African Continental Trade Area. If you're not careful, you get lost in all these languages. What does it mean? So as we engage with more bilateral agreements, as we engage on more multilateral engagements, we create opportunities for some people, but we also create challenges for others. I have already seen people that have already been protesting some of the agreements that we have under FTA for steel, for example, and that is to be expected, that as we engage into more engagements with trade, we actually may create opportunities for others, but also we may create challenges for others, and that is why we are here to look at this emerging environment, a changing environment, because we are dealing with a moving target. So the solution that would work 5 years ago will not work today. It may not work next year, and that is why this process of continuous engagement then becomes extremely important. From the manufacturing side, and we have already said it, that what we are really looking at is to create a country that is manufacturing for Africa, that is manufacturing for the world. And today we are working on many issues. I know that looks very ambitious, but if you set your vision somewhere, then you have an opportunity to really try and walk into that direction. So we are looking at a country that has, and we have looked at our opportunities. We have a seaport, we have a good middle class, we have a skilled workforce, so we have a lot of potential. And as a ministry, we have also invested in a lot of issues. Industrial spaces, both in Dongokundu, in the EPZs. We are also investing in issues of Buy Kenya, Build Kenya. So we have invested, we have a lot of skills development. Our TVET institutions are more than 5,000. We have done a lot of market access issues. The EAC market, the African market, the Kenya-EU market, the Kenya-UK market. We are talking about the US. But all these opportunities will not work if all of us are not in tandem, if we are not moving together, if we are not looking at how do we access this EU market that we have just opened, so that we don't open up an EU market. But when you look at data 3 years down the line, the exports have not changed. What it also means is that more investment in manufacturing, because you're not going to export what you have not manufactured. So as we agree that we have a new market for the EU, we have so many thousands of products, we have 27 countries, the issue that we need to ask ourselves is, where are these products going to come from? So part of manufacturing for the world, I think that the State Department for Trade has done its part. They have opened up the market. But are we as Kenyans upping our game to really make products that would access that market? And I think when I was listening from KEPSA, again, she raised important issues. That quite often, because of our different cultural perspectives, sometimes it becomes very difficult for a Kenyan to make a product that would easily sell within the EU, because of, if you're making coffee, maybe you're not making it the Spanish way, maybe you're not doing it the Portuguese way. So some of those issues then become capacity building issues that we need to address. The last issue that I wanted to say is our issue of manufacturing. And I mentioned it when I was talking to the team here, that our manufacturing has been structured not in a very friendly manner. When you look at the way manufacturing is structured in other countries, you have a few mega factories up here. Then you have a little bit more major factories below them. Then you have medium enterprises below them. Then you have small-scale industries. So that the way we become globally competitive is not for a mega factory to do everything from procuring raw materials to selling of the final product. The challenge that we have with our market is that we have a lot of major big factories, but there's nobody below them. So sometimes when we are discussing about the cost of our competitiveness, we zero in on government taxation and government policies. But I think that the way we have structured our industry, we cannot compete globally. When you have a major factory that is trying to be everything, that is not providing an opportunity for anybody else below it. In fact, what we do is we crowd out, we outcompete, we push out the small people. You cannot then create a globally competitive manufacturing environment. So part of the reforms, and that's why I said here that some of the actions will need to go to the manufacturers, that we really need to open up our markets, that we need big industries that are buying intermediate products from the small people. We visited Japan and we visited Toyota, for example, and we found that the Toyota company does not make a single product. They have outsourced their parts to 3,000, 5,000 people. You make a door, I make a steering wheel, another person makes this, and we buy it and put it together. So part of our competitiveness as our manufacturing is really to relook at our attitudes, is really to relook at how do we structure our manufacturing to benefit everyone. Because you cannot have a manufacturing sector that is not equitable, that is only benefiting a few people. It cannot work. So part of what the challenge that I want to move is to say that we need a manufacturing sector that outsources, and that way you cut down on your costs, you also concentrate on your core business, and then we all make progress as we go forward. And again, that goes back to the farmers. Part of the reason why you find a lot of supply of raw materials becomes a problem is sometimes the value chain actors, the farmers, find that they are not getting the true value of what they are selling to you. Again, that goes back to the equity that we are talking about. So if we are going to really reform and re-engineer our manufacturing, we want a manufacturing sector that will say the coffee farm, if the production cost is 50 shillings per kilo, that we as manufacturers do not push that below. Because if you push it, you push your raw material supply out of the market. That is why if you look at the last 2 years, if I use two commodities, look at maize. 2 years ago, our millers were buying a bag of maize at 6,500. Why? Because we have pushed the producers out of production. And then when the producers see that the 6,500, they come back into production, then you push them down to 2,000. If the production cost is 4,000, it means we are working in a very unsustainable, and there's no way that manufacturing sector can become competitive. So part of our competitiveness as Kenya Association of Manufacturers, Chamber of Commerce and Industry is really to relook at our core values, how we relate with the people that we work with, including our workers. That if the workers feel like they don't own, they are not part of your prosperity, then we are not going to grow this manufacturing sector. And that's why I have said that the solutions that we generate here, some of it will go to the minister, but also some of them will go back to us so that we are really able to push this forward.